I'd bark in, Abacanesia who? I hate you!
Hello, pile number one. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. I'm Antonio, your reader, and let's get into this. So we have the rules card here. And I'm only trying to speed read because my phone only has 0.5%. So let's see if we can get through all three, right? Anyways, let's see. So why do people avoid you? With the rules card, I'm feeling like I don't feel like these are rules that you necessarily like. I don't feel like this is like an outline, right? This is more of like just a way of how you live your life, and like people have to behave a certain way in order to be a part of your life, okay? So with that being said, your first card here is the party card, and that's in the reverse. Now, I'm not saying that people can't party. That's definitely not what I'm getting. I'm not saying that you don't party. I'm getting more or less, it's like you're more about business, right? Like you're all for like going out, having fun, going getting drinks and everything like that, but more so you stand on business, right? You're a business focused person. When I say business, I just mean like your financials, right? Like you take responsibility for the things that you're in charge of, the things that you have to provide for, okay? And so obviously people who are more into that like partying stage where they don't really care too much about the responsibilities of life, right? And all the other bills that soon, I swear, I always tell people like every year you age, you get another bill that has to be paid, right? Like a continuous bill. I swear. But anyway, so this is why people tend to avoid you, especially if they're still in that kind of partying stage, right? Because they know you're more, focused towards financials and like long-term goals instead of like, what are we doing on Friday night? Okay, are we going out Saturday night as well? Okay, I know we both have to work Monday, but we're also going out Sunday, right? These kind of things. So this is why people avoid you. And then we have this wrongo card in the reverse. Okay, so why people will avoid you is, I feel like why people avoid you is like, again, with this, I think it's like a confirmation with this party card. It's like you don't necessarily tell people how they're living is wrong, but you kind of like associate that like, I won't be following in those footsteps, right? Because we have like the wrongo in reverse, right? So obviously if it was upright, it'd be like, yeah, I'm not with that business. But what I'm seeing here is like people avoid you because like you kind of, it's almost like a mirroring thing. Like you don't necessarily force your lifestyle on them, but the simple fact that you make different decisions, or you have kind of like this moral or ethical code that you live your life by, makes people feel a certain type of way, right? So this is why they avoid you. Or it's not like, I'm not saying you're living your life wrong, but those are just decisions that I wouldn't make, right? That's essentially what this card is saying. And then we have the sharing card in the reverse. In the upright, sorry. So why people avoid you, I feel like with the sharing card in the upright, it's actually like a positive, but can be looked at as a negative, right? I'm seeing this more in the sense of like, what you have, you share, right? Like if I have it, I'll give it to you. But here's why people avoid you. It's because you expect that in return. Okay, it's almost like you're only allowing people in your life who add some type of substance, right? Like I add to your life by either being here for you, being someone you can call on, X, Y, Z. What can you add to my life? Like, what am I getting out of being like knowing you, essentially, right? This is what this means. So I feel like this is kind of why people avoid you, not because, and again, I'm not saying like you're greedy or you're trying to, like you only associate with people who you can benefit from. I don't even really feel like this is a benefiting situation. I feel like this is more of just saying like, I'm not here to constantly help you. So if you cannot help me in return when I need the help, then we're not like we're not going to get along, right? Like it's kind of like having for example, like having friends who are always asking you to hold 5 or let me get 10 or, let me get 20, until Friday and then I'll pay you back, plus 5, but then they never pay you back, but they're constantly asking you, right? This is kind of what I'm getting here, where it's like, this is why people avoid you, is because they don't want that, that obligation to pay you back, right? Like they don't want to contribute to the friendship or the relationship or whatever it is that you have. Okay. And then we have the realization card. So why do people avoid you? I feel like people avoid you simply because eventually you're going to realize the type of person that they are, right? Like, to say everyone wears a mask would be inaccurate, because there are some people who are truly authentic regardless of what situation that they're in, okay? But what I'm saying is, for the most part, when you first meet people, that's usually not you meeting them, right? Like you're meeting their first impression, right? You're not meeting their, we've just downed a whole bottle of XYZ and we're watching a movie or talking freely, right? So I feel like this is why people kind of avoid you, because they don't want you to know, like they don't want you to really pick up on who they are, right? They're completely comfortable with showing you that like forward facial masks, we'll say, right? Like you can know this version of me, but you can't know like the version of me that's, either doing people wrong, or, the version of me that's at home that really feels this type of way about you, or a certain type of, race or culture or XYZ, right? So people avoid you because they don't want you to have this realization about them that, how they're living isn't actually genuine or true, okay? Then we have the signs card in the reverse. So why do people avoid you? I feel like people avoid you because I feel like you call out signs to people that they intentionally ignore. Okay? And when I say this, it's more or less like, I'm sure all of us have had that friend, or maybe still have that friend, right? That will continuously complain about a certain type of either lifestyle or way that they are being treated, but they don't do anything about it, right? Like that person who's kind of venting to you but not really asking for your advice, but they're sick of how they're living, but they don't want to make any changes, and you're like, girl, like all the signs are here, okay? Like if this happens, this is going to follow, and this is going to happen, and then you're going to be back here mad talking to me in my face, right? So I feel like this is kind of why people avoid you, is because like they're more so looking for that person that'll just kind of hear them out, be like, yo, that's messed up, like kind of agree with them, even knowing that like they should change something about their situation, and just keep it pushing, right? You're not that person. You can be like, yo, you missing all the signs, like boo boo, I'm gonna need you to wake up, okay? I need you to get up, okay? Then we have the truth card here with the in the reverse. So let's see. Why do people avoid you? People avoid you because I feel like you don't, again, I feel like these two go together, kind of like these two were. And I feel like this whole row, honestly, right here goes together. But we have the truth card in reverse. And I feel like this is just saying, is like, you don't let people pass up on the truth. Like you let them know, the truth card in the upright, right, would be saying like the truth. But I also feel like you don't force the truth onto people. I feel like this is more of like a walk people into the truth. You know how they say like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it, right? I feel like you break down people's arguments into the simplest form so that the only answer they have is the answer that you would have given them straightforward, but you just didn't say it, right? Where it's like they come to the realization on their own, but that would force them to look at it in a responsible light, right? In a more responsible light where they would actually have to do something about it. And this is why people avoid you, is because, like, even though you didn't necessarily, let's say, throw shade, you walked them out of the sunlight. You know, you know what I mean? So you walked them into the shade. But it's like, confirmation. But it's like in a way of how to, again, like saying it without saying it, right? Like you again led them to the water, you just didn't make them drink it, right? You're like, yeah. And it's almost like an interrogation where you're asking people questions, but you already know the answer, but you ask them specific questions that kind of forces them to give you the answer, even though both of you already know it. And then we have the bag card here in the upright. So, and that's right next to that sharing card. So I feel like people avoid you because I don't feel like you beg people for anything. But when that time comes around for people to return that favor, or you have a favor to ask of people, you don't have that problem of asking them, being, hey, I need XYZ. I know you do XYZ, or, hey, I know you know this person, blah, blah, blah. And I think this is why people avoid you, because they know eventually, whatever you help them with will come back around. So I feel like people, if you do kind of lose touch with people, I feel it's usually after you've already helped them, right? Because they know that you're this type of person that will come back around when you need that same help, right? Or not saying that same situation, but when you need that help, okay? And then we have the travel card here in the upright. So, travel to dump it to crumpet. Why do people avoid you? I feel like with the travel card, it's not necessary. Now, it could be travel, right? You could actually enjoy travel and maybe pursue or want people around you who are interested in traveling as well. But I don't see this all about traveling. What I also see this about is destination, right? When it comes to your life, right? So it's like, people avoid you because you don't want to be in the same spot you were last year, right? In the next year. So it's almost like you have this way of continuous growth with yourself, right? And people avoid you because they don't want to grow. They don't want to put forth those efforts to be in a different position every single year like you are, okay? Or maybe it's every other year, or whatever the case is. Like, again, and that kind of goes off with the signs and the truth that we were talking about, where it's like, you're looking at what you have to do to change your life, right? You make those changes and you're in a whole nother spot in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 7 months from now, into the new year. You're not even dealing with those issues that you were dealing with the previous year because you already took care of that. It's a travel in terms of life goals. And this is why people avoid you, is because they don't want to make those same type of goals for themselves. They're perfectly comfortable with where they are currently, okay? And then we have the strength card here in the upright. So why do people avoid you? I feel like people avoid you with this strength card is because they don't have the same strength that you do, right? The same strength to see the signs, right? The same strength to avoid the partying. Like, don't get me wrong, everyone likes to go out. Everyone likes to, and don't get me wrong, like there are your introverts, right? But I'm saying, like, everyone likes to go out every once in a while. And me, myself, I'm more of an introvert as well, but I do like to go out and enjoy myself, maybe, do something new, right? And I usually end up really enjoying myself. I'm like, man, I should do this more. But, goals and so on and so forth, right? These people avoid you because they don't have that same strength, right? That strength and character to not be peer pressured into going out, or that strength and that strength in themselves to see the signs and deal with them and move forward with their personal life and their personal goals, right? They don't have that same strength you do. Maybe it's the strength of kick the table. That same strength as to stay fit, or to exercise, or to whatever the case is, go to the gym every single week, or XYZ, practice what they preach, those type of things. Okay. And then we have the secrets in the reverse card. Yeah. And the secrets in the reverse card is that same row we were talking about, with the truth in reverse and the wrongo in reverse. I feel like people avoid you because you're not one for secrets, right? Like, I'm not saying that you can't keep secrets. It's just like you don't keep secrets to the detriment of other people, if that makes sense, right? So it's like if you saw, if your, friend or whatever was cheating on your other friend, you would let the other friend know. Or you'd just be like, yo, I'm not comfortable with knowing this secret. I'm going to just stay out of this whole situation, right? Maybe put some space in between you and those two friends, or whatever the case is, right? Like I feel like you're just not the person that wants to know everything, okay? Like, I don't want to know. I mean, look, your final card here, right? And I don't want to jump ahead, but it's the gossip card in the reverse. So again, it's like people avoid you because you're not the person that's going to gossip with them about secrets, or, hold little privy information and things of the such. You're just like, yo, say what it is, what's on your mind, what you're doing, what you're up to, just speak the truth. Okay. And then we have the ancestors card in the upright. So I feel like you might be more traditional, right? And this is why people avoid you, because depending on where you live, let's put it that way, right? Tradition is worldwide, but tradition seems to be falling away currently, where people are kind of getting out of the way that things used to be, in that kind of like boomer age, World War II age of tradition, where people really aren't following traditions too much. For example, like my family always used to do like huge Thanksgiving and so on and so forth. We don't really do that much anymore. We used to get together all the time for like Labor Days and really anything. Like it would literally just be like, oh, so-and-so's at so-and-so's house, and then you just pop up, and then someone else hears about it and they pop up, and next thing you know, it's 30 people in the family at one person's house, and then we just start making food, and it turns into a whole thing when it was literally just one person was supposed to come by, right? Those were, I'm not saying it was a tradition, but it was something that we did, right? And we don't really do that anymore. All that just to say that, like, you're a person that still kind of follows kind of older traditions, right? And people avoid you simply because they don't want to follow those traditions anymore. They don't want to go forward with those traditions, because a lot of times when you look at traditions or cultures, right? It has you living, again, we have the rules card, so this could be why you chose it. Has you living some type of way, or living your life in a certain type of way or tradition or, mindset, right? And obviously we have the party card in the reverse, which just goes to state, right, that like you kind of keep this tradition alive with yourself, right? Or at least that traditional mindset. You may not subscribe to all of it, but a lot of it you do still hold dear, right? And then we have the genuine card, bottom of the deck. Okay, so why people avoid you? I feel like people avoid you if they're not genuine, right? We discussed this, saying that everyone kind of, when you first meet them, has some type of mask on. Not saying everybody does, but majority of people do, right? Because they want to make a good first impression. Confirmation. The genuine card, yeah. If people can't be genuinely themselves around you, then they tend to avoid you, right? Or if they know that their true, genuine self isn't something that you would accept, then they tend to avoid you, okay? We have some advice messages here from Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in. Okay, we have the Demand Respect card to start off here, and that's in the reverse, okay? So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe, with this card here in the reverse, it's in the same row as Strength, Signs, and Party in the reverse. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, like, you look, you can demand respect without enforcing it, if that makes sense, right? Where it's like most people, especially if they already know you, they know what they can and can't get away with in front of you or around you, right? So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, look, if you want to be invited to more parties, or you want to have more like quote unquote friendships with people and things of the such, Spirit Guide Universe is saying you're gonna have to chill out a little bit on the on the demanding of the respect part. Like, let people know that you're playful. Let people know that they can joke with you. You know, let people know that you can party just as much as staying in your cultural truths, right? And then we have the Okay to Feel card, and that's in the upright. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying it's okay that the people around you, or so on and so forth, right, don't live their life in the traditional way or just the way that you deem life should be lived. It's okay to let these people feel how they want to feel and live the life that they want to live. Okay, so I feel like this is just Spirit Guide Universe telling you to kind of relinquish that kind of like way of talking to people, right? And this is something that, you know, even I had to kind of hear myself from somebody that I thought, I mean, we are still really cool with each other, but it was in a sense of like, she explained it to me in a sense of like, yes, she eventually gets to the ideas that I portray to her, but she feels like when I tell them to her, it's more in a sense of like, this is what you need to do, as opposed to this is allowing her to choose, right? So with that being said, it was, how to explain this? So really what it was the breakdown. It was like like when a teacher tells you to show your work, right? I wasn't showing work. I was just saying, like, this is how you should be, okay? And there was no question about it, right? And what she explained to me essentially, in other words, was just saying, like, this person broke it down as to why it is so, right? So this is all I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just telling you, is like, it's okay for other people to live their life however they want to live their life. You can explain why you live yours in a certain type of way or manner, or why you think such a type of way, right? But don't, kind of force that on other people, or just tell people that the way that they're living is wrong. Like, free is what they say, right? Free will to do as they please, right? Then we have One Way Forward. Only one way forward, and that's in the upright. So Spirit Guide Universe is saying, and this is in the Sharing, Beg, and Ancestors card. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, you're living this right, okay? Like, how you're living is probably true to how, Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in, intended us to live, right? Especially like the sharing, not the begging. I feel like this begging is asking for help when you need it, right? And because we should live in a world where we can ask, our neighbors for the help that we need when we need it, or we can rely on others when we need the help, right? Because you are also willing to give that same help if they were in that situation. I want to make that point very clear. It's not just asking because you can ask and they'll give it. It's because you would do the same for them. And then living in this more traditional, lifestyle, or just this more thought out way of living, preparing for such things, okay? So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is behind you in those efforts. With the Listen Up turd, and that's in the reverse, okay? that's in the reverse. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying if anyone's trying to like gossip with you, right? And I do know that I skipped over this gossip card, but I kind of lumped it in there with the secrets card. If someone's trying to gossip with you or just, I don't really like gossip because I feel like gossip is really just people bringing up a certain situation to see how you feel about it so they can go back and tell somebody else, right? That's kind of how I feel about gossip, right? It's like, oh, did you hear so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on it? Okay, now I'm going to go tell so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying this listen up turd is in the reverse because they don't want you really to get into such things, right? Then we have the travel card in the upright and the realization card. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying if anyone's trying to derail you, right, from realizing who they really are, what their real intentions are, or if anyone's trying to derail you from going towards your own personal goals or matters, don't listen to that. And especially don't get into gossip with people, okay? Because words can easily be changed around. And then we have You're Protected. Okay, bottom of the deck, just saying Spirit Guide Universe is looking out for you, letting you know that they care about you and they are keeping a watchful eye on you. And they agree, again, with the way that you're living your life. Okay, so keep doing what you're doing and keep going forward. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Hold still! Can I use your finger for a second?
Hello, hello, hello. Pound number 2. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. I'm Antonio, your reader. We're going to read this slightly fast only because I want to get through all 3 piles before my phone dies and you are pile number 2. Anyways, we have the gossip card here. So why do people avoid you? Okay, with the gossip card in the reverse, I feel like people initially avoid you because you're not about gossip, right? You're not one to gossip. You're not one to, confirmation. You're not one to talk about things that don't necessarily involve you. Even more confirmation. So like I was telling pile number 1, there might be some messages in there for you as well. But what I said to pile number 1, the gossip card came up as their last card. But what I was saying to pile number 1 is that, I don't really get too much into gossip because I feel like gossip is just kind of this way of, gossip is kind of people trying to figure out how you feel about a certain situation so they can go back and tell somebody else, right? So that's why I don't really like to get involved with gossip. But this is kind of what I'm getting for you, and this is why people kind of avoid you, because they can't sit there and gossip with you for hours and talk about, XYZ. Like, gossip isn't what I'm getting is like gossip isn't a way that you will create a bond with another person, right? Like if a person's looking to gossip, you might say a few words, maybe say your opinion on certain things, but it's not like you're going to hold a hour-long conversation on it, right? And it's kind of what people like to do, especially that's why reality TV is such a big thing. Anyways, with the exclude card here in the upright, okay? Why people avoid you with the exclude card? What I'm getting here is, like, you can see in this card, this is where he kind of cuts the Christmas tree and the gifts out, right? And that big circle falls through the middle of the floor. People avoid you because they don't want to be excluded from events or situations if you two were to have a fallout, right? I feel like it's kind of hard to get in your presence, right? Or even be accepted. So when you exclude somebody from a party or event or something like that, it becomes this gossip, right? And it's not, it's almost like immediate bad gossip because people know that in order to be around you, they have to stay in this certain type of energy or carry themselves a certain type of way. So that person must have done something to be excluded from either your life or to be excluded from some type of event that you're throwing, okay? And this is why people avoid you, because they don't want that initial fall off, or they don't want to hold themselves to a certain standard, right? And continuously do so, okay? With the deception card here in the upright, I feel like people avoid you because I feel like people feel like you have some type of deceptive motives, but I'm not necessarily picking that up from this energy. What I'm getting is like other people have deceptive motives, right? I feel like other people tend to gossip a lot about you a lot, pal number two, that you don't necessarily know about. Not saying that it's all deceptive, but it's more or less like smile in your face, but talk about you behind your back, right? And not saying that it's all in bad gossip, but it's also, I feel like this is what do you call that? What's the word I'm looking for? Where you kind of pass it off onto somebody else, right? I can't think of it, but what I'll try and describe it. It's where people are thinking that you're a type of way, but in all actuality, they are that way, right? Put it down in the comments. You know what I mean. Yeah. But essentially, yes, they're kind of reflecting their own emotions and, how they are onto you and saying that it's you when in all actuality it is them. This is kind of what I'm getting with this deception card, but people do feel like you have deceptive motives where it's like you kind of do things for your own gain, okay? And then we have the destination card here in the reverse as well. So with the destination card here in reverse, I feel like people avoid you because they feel like the relationship won't necessarily go anywhere, right? Especially if they can't add some type of, and I was going to say value. I forgot that I did pull that card here. So especially if they can't add some type of value or like essence to your life, right? Like of course, you might be a great friend or you might be, whatever the case is, but if they can't add more than just being a friend or whatever the case is, like you're not going to, and look, right next to it is nourish, you're not going to pour that much, was what I was going to say, that much energy into them, okay? So this is why people tend to avoid you, because they know, if they're not going in the same direction that you're going or working towards the same things that you're working towards, you're kind of going to not necessarily X them out, but just not pay them as much attention as you would somebody who is going in that direction, okay? And then we have responsibility here in the reverse. So people avoid you because they don't want responsibility, ultimately, okay? They don't want the responsibility of having, again, we were talking about this earlier with the exclude card, in the sense of saying, like, people don't want that responsibility of, maintaining a certain type of lifestyle or personality or way of living their life, right? They don't want that responsibility. I feel like people also don't want the responsibilities of, look, let's put it this way. We're all adults, right? We understand that as you age, you get more and more responsibilities. Again, I said this in power number one. So again, there might be some messages for you in that one as well. But like I was saying, I literally feel like every year that I age, I get another bill to pay for some way, somehow, right? So that's a responsibility, taking care of your responsibilities, whether it's children, whether it's bills, whether it's whatever the case, the house, whatever the case is, right? I feel like there's people who don't take care of their responsibilities, kind of around you in your inner circle, at work, whatever the case is. And this is why they avoid you, is because they avoid their responsibilities and they know that if they were around you, this is something that you would be calling out, right? People who avoid their responsibility of whatever job title, whatever their job is, parents, you name it, okay? With the sorrow card in the upright, I feel like why people avoid you is because you might have I feel like people feel like you're an emotional person, okay? Not saying that you're always sad or you have this victim-like mentality, but you might just like to complain about some of the things that aren't going in your way. It's almost like a venting thing, but it's not like a feel bad for me situation. It's more of you're just kind of like explaining the trials and tribulations that you go through, right? Like the hurdles that you're running up against. So I feel like people kind of avoid you because they don't want to hear about this. It's not like fun or interesting. It's not the gossip, right? It's not the juicy, gossip, let's talk about somebody or how somebody is or what they have or XYZ. It's like emotional, like this is what I'm going through. I want to talk to somebody that I hope I can trust, or, maybe get some advice from, or maybe just I want to vent about it. And this is why people avoid you, is because they don't want to hear about that, right? It's not interesting gossip, okay? So again, not saying you're overly emotional, but what I'm saying is, like, you might tend to just speak more about like feelings and emotions, and a lot of people tend to try and avoid those. I mean, people literally do drugs, and nothing against people who do drugs. I'm not saying you guys do this, but like people, I mean, tend to get heavily in drugs to mask those type of emotions, okay? And then we have distractions here. Okay, so with the distractions card in the reverse, what I'm feeling is, so people avoid you because you don't really let a lot of distractions deter you from whatever it is you're working on or whatever it is you're going towards, right? So, for example, as I'm filming this right now, I'm getting a phone call on my phone, but I'm going to keep recording because I don't want to stop and start again. So, just as an example. So like I was saying is, people tend to avoid you because I feel like you might have this type of tunnel vision where it's like you're going to focus on whatever it is you need to focus on. You're going to get that done, and then you'll allow distractions or whatever the case is. But while I'm in it, okay, we're going to get this done. I'm not stopping. And this is why people tend to avoid you. Anyways, we have the Nourish card in the upright. So, why do people avoid you? With the Nourish card, I feel, again, like we were saying, like you're not really going to nourish or pour into people whose destinations aren't in the same way, okay, going the same way. Or it's just like, I don't feel like you pour into a lot of people in general, and this is why people avoid you. It's because it could be because like you're after your own pursuits, or it's just like whatever they're into, you're not into. But I feel like people avoid you because, with the Nourish card in the upright, like I'm getting two things, right? I'm getting either like you don't really pour into whatever it is they're going towards, or you pour too much into whatever they're going towards, okay? And I feel like this can also have the reverse effect, because then people will feel like they're obligated to try and help you in whatever it is you're going towards, right? So this is why I feel like people avoid you. And then we have the Persuade card in the reverse, right? So people avoid you because I feel like you're not easily persuadable. I feel like you're a person who kind of focuses in on what they believe and what they're going towards, right? So like it's hard to kind of get you off of, your rocker, or persuade you to think a different way, or persuade you to act a different way, or persuade you to be different, or whatever the case is. I feel like you're just not an easy person to change their mind or get them to think a different way. So this is why people avoid you, because they know, and this could be like a manipulation kind of thing. So like people avoid you because they know they cannot manipulate you, okay? With the News card here in the upright, why do people avoid you? I feel like with the News card in the upright, people avoid you because I feel like you're a person who always kind of has new things kind of going for yourself, right? New things to be talked about, maybe how to explain this? New things in your life that's not necessarily gossip, right? So like, for example, like for me here, when I come out with a new card or a new deck, yeah, you guys might think it's really cool on here, but I have a lot of family who could really care less about this stuff, honestly. So, but it's news to you, right? It's something new to you that you're excited about. So I feel like why people avoid you is because you always kind of have something new coming up in your life, whether it is a new deck, or it's a new job, or a new pair of shoes, or a new whatever the case is, right? There's always something new going on with you. And I feel like this is why people avoid you, is because they don't have that much change in their life. So it can tend to start causing like envy or hatred towards a person, especially when nothing is really changing in their life, but they're always seeing something change in another person's life, and usually when it's for the better, right? And then we have that Value card. So I feel like why people avoid you is because you have you could have a lot of money, right? We don't have the breadwinner card out here, but we definitely have the value card, and there's a lot of money in that card. It's either that or you value yourself a lot. Okay, we do have the time card here on the bottom of this row, and it could be that you value your time a lot. I do definitely feel like this one here on that time, like you value your time a lot. You don't like to waste a lot of time, but we do have the value card, and just saying, like, I feel like you just kind of put a lot of value in everything that you have, right? Because it took time and effort to obtain everything that you have, right? It didn't come overnight. But I also feel like people avoid you because you just might have more funds at your disposal than other people, and they don't really want to play big bank takes little bank, right? They don't really want to get into that game. And for those of you who don't know what that game is, essentially it's just a game where whoever has the most money takes the other person's money because their money is smaller, right? So big bank takes little bank. And then we have the blessings card here in the reverse. Okay, so what I'm feeling here with this blessings card in the reverse, I'm just feeling why people avoid you again is like what I was saying with this news card. They don't have a lot of blessings in their life. Not a lot of good things are coming to them, and it could be due to their own actions. It could be due to whatever the case is, but again, they just don't have a lot of things falling into place for them, or a lot of things to really discuss that are new for them. It's the same old every other day thing, right? So nothing's really changing for them, and this is why they avoid you, is because you have blessings. You have new things to talk about. We have that news card that we were discussing. You have new things. You have blessings happening to you, and they can't really, I'm getting the phrase, they can't really compare where they don't compete, right? And then we have that time card, like I was just saying in the upright, just saying, like, yes, people avoid you because I feel like you're a very timely person, right? You might make a schedule and stick to it, or you try to be on time for everything, or you maybe make your own deadlines to things that don't necessarily have time deadlines, right? Like things outside of work where you're like, I got to get this done by this time. I got to have this done by this time, and X, Y, Z. And people are like, why are you putting timelines on yourself, right? It's not a job. It's not a, but this could just be how you operate. And people avoid you for that matter. Even like, for example, like if you go out at night, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay until, 10 o'clock, 10:30, but then I'm going to head home because I got work tomorrow, right? You're putting a timeline on something, and people are more so worried about just having fun and letting, that time roll over, and they'll deal with it in the morning and get a coffee or energy drink, right? This is why people avoid you, is because you're cautious of the time you spend on certain things and where you're at, right? Bottom of the deck, we have the creative card in the reverse. And this is why people avoid you, is because, they're not as creative as you are. I'm feeling the word extra, right? So they might not be as extra as you are, or it's just they might not put a lot of effort into the things that they create, right? Where it's like they created it, it looks cool, but it's not done to the max, right? It's not overly done, it's not overly pursued, and this is why people tend to avoid you, is because you can definitely outshine them with your creativity. So they don't even, again, what we were talking about, they don't want to compare where they don't compete, right? And then we some advice messages here from Spirit, God, Universe, whatever it is you believe in. We have the effing relax card, okay? Effing relax. And that's in the same row as the exclude, the sorrow card in the upright, and the news card. So I feel like Spirit, God, Universe is just reminding you to take breaks with your accomplishments, right? I'm not saying that you can't strive forward, but just don't burn yourself out. Remember to relax. That's the key thing. And I have this problem as well, where I tend to get in these like work modes where it's like just work, and then I burn myself out, and I don't want to do anything for like a couple of days, So take it from me, right? Just take a chill pill, okay? Chill. What's that meme? Daddy, chill, okay? Anyways. Then we have the move your ass, right? And that's in the reverse, okay? So Spirit, God, Universe is just saying deception, destination. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, take your time with things. Understand, here I'm getting this phrase, Rome was not built in a day, right? So no matter how hard you work, some things are in divine timing. I know a lot of us hate to hear that divine timing rule, but it's like the things won't come to you until they're ready to come to you, right? There's still lessons and things that you have to go through before you can achieve such greatness, okay? Because if anyone is a watcher of Spider-Man, with great with great power comes great responsibility, right? So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, you don't have to rush. Everything will happen when it's meant to happen, okay? Then we have the answers are within. That's in the reverse as well. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, like, not everything has to have an answer, right? And I know that's the worst thing to hear, because sometimes we feel like an answer is all we need to get over something. But I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, if you haven't looked, right, within yourself for the answer, try doing that first. But if you still can't come to, a conclusion on that, don't throw your whole life away, right? Like, don't put too much time or effort into it. Like, some things we're just not meant to know, how to explain this? Don't let something that you don't know hold you back from living life, right? Like, it's okay to wander or ponder on whatever the cause or what the problem could have been, but Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, don't let this hold you from enjoying life. And I always say you only have one of them anyways. Well, I believe we live forever, but I'm just saying you have this body, this life, right, to live, so live it, okay? And then we have nourish here in the upright. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, this nourish card is right next to this time card, but then we have the persuade and the responsibility in the reverse. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, nourish the things that you care about, right? Because with that responsibility in reverse, nourish the things you care about, nourish the conversations you care to have, and nourish the time that you have with people, right? Pour into people, okay? Then we have get an effing hobby. And that's in the upright as well. So Spirit Guide Universe is saying, if you're having a hard time, figuring out what to do with some extra time you might be having, or maybe it's just trying to get off of your phone, whatever the case is, Spirit Guide Universe is saying, get a hobby that helps you do such a thing, okay? That could be anything. I know I just got my daughter I don't know what they're called, those little teeny dots that you like pick up with the little stylus pen, and then you place it on an image, and eventually it builds like a little bedazzled image, if that makes sense to anyone. If that makes any type of sense to anyone. I got her that, and she seems to like it. She doesn't always do it correctly because, she's 4, right? But she enjoys it. So just throwing some ideas out there. Get a hobby, do something, right, to just kind of eat up that time that you might be having. Or maybe if you're trying to kick a bad habit, right, this is another one. Get a hobby to make sure you stop doing whatever it is you're doing, like smoking or whatever the case is, right? If you're trying to avoid smoking and getting, chain smoking, getting a cigarette, whatever the case is. This has been your reading, pile number 2. I hope it resonated for you, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Hold still! Can I use your finger for a second?
Hello. Pile number 3. Let's get into this. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. I'm Antonio, your reader. And let's see, why do people avoid you? We have the responsibility card if you chose pile number 3. Excuse me, confirmation. People avoid you because, people avoid you because you stand on business, pile number 3. Okay, when I say you stand on business, people avoid you because you are a responsible person. I feel like you're the type of person who handles your business, okay? Handles your business. And with that being said, I feel like you kind of hold that, I don't want to say you hold other people accountable for their business, but it's like you standing on business, right? anyone around you feels almost like lesser if they don't do the same, right? Like they're not, if they don't put as much effort in as you do when it comes to your responsibilities, then they feel kind of like lesser than you, if that makes sense, right? And this is why people tend to avoid you, because it almost like it shines a light on the responsibilities that they're not taking care of when you're over here like superseding your own responsibilities, right? It's almost like I'm kind of getting this energy where like your life is a lot calmer and a lot more relaxed because 9/10 of your responsibilities have already been taken care of. So there's nothing for you to really worry about because you already have things set in place to take care of your responsibilities, that you don't really need to stress or focus too much on, when you have to pay this or when this comes out or XYZ. Okay. Then we have the value card here in the upright. So with that value card, I'm just seeing like people tend to avoid you. I believe you have a lot of value. And when I say value, I feel like this also tends to be part of your, how do I explain this? Like personality. Like there's a lot of value in you as a person. But with that also being said, you can see like all the money in this card. You have a lot of valuable things, okay? This could be jewelry. This could be clothing. This could be just items in your home. This could just be things around you, right? Like I feel like you have this look of kind of like luxury or class. I'm not saying you're extremely rich, okay? You could be, but I'm just saying like you have this look of somebody who, has a lot of value to themselves, okay? And then we have our valuable items. Then we have the compassionate card here in the upright. So why do people tend to avoid you, especially with this compassionate card? I feel like you're a compassionate individual, and when I say compassion, I just feel like you have compassion for other people. You have emotions for other people. I feel like you're that type of person who is okay with not being okay, if that makes sense, right? And I'll try and break that down more. Is like, if something is getting to you, you'll talk about it, right? If something is getting to another person, you'll open yourself up to talk to them about it. You'll open yourself up to let them express the feelings and the emotions that they're going through about a certain situation. And this is why people tend to avoid you. I know you're like, why would people avoid me for this? It's because a lot of people want to bury that, right? They want to bury that. They don't want to discuss it. A lot of people tend to see emotions as weakness, right? So they tend to mask them with other things. So they always look strong, right? Or what they say is, they don't want to catch you slipping, or, they don't want you, they always want to be seen in this kind of like masculine energy, right? Then we have the science card here. And people avoid you because I feel like people avoid you because you can easily tell when someone isn't like you, or you can tell when someone isn't being genuine to themselves, or you can I feel like it's I was just gonna say, and your next card, okay? Your next card is bullshit. I mean, to the right of that card, the science card is bullshit. I was just gonna say, like, you can easily tell when someone is trying to run bullshit, right? Or get bullshit past you. So I feel like people kind of avoid you because it's hard to pull the wool over your eyes, right? Like, you're a person who pays attention to the signs, whatever they are, right? For me, I get all day, every day angel numbers, right? And they're usually matching angel numbers. I've been getting those frequently. So if you know a lot about that, drop it in the comments. Let me know. I've been getting, just for example, I know we're kind of going off track here, but I get double, numbers. So I like 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, like 4, 4, 4, 4, like that kind of things. But anyways, regardless, I just feel like you're a person who's very in tune with yourself, very in tune with your spiritual side, right? So it's like, it's easy for you to pick up on the signs and you get what I'm saying? Synchronicities, right? There we go. Around you, right? That kind of give you the pointers and cues on what you're supposed to be doing, or whether or not this person is trustworthy, or whether or not, you should be trusting this person. or like whether or not this person is being genuine. Then we have the responsibility card here in the reverse. So we have the responsibility in the upright, right? This is what you chose. I feel like this is your energy. You are a responsible individual, and then people avoid you because they don't hold themselves to those types of responsibilities, right? Like they don't do the same things that you do. They don't hold themselves to those same, levels or goals that you have for yourself. So this is why they tend to avoid you, because they're not on the same level. They don't put themselves up on that pedestal with you, right? They know that they can't. It's almost, you might have some messages here in pile number 2. Okay. It's almost like, where some of these cards do kind of match what came out in pile number 2, but they don't compare where they can't compete, right? So it's like they know that they don't fulfill enough of their responsibilities to be around a person like yourself, okay? Because you would just completely overshine them, so they avoid you. And then we have a stray, okay? And the card says, "Dear Santa, I'm not sure what to ask for this Christmas." So why do I feel like people avoid you? It's because I feel like I feel like people don't want to be rejected by you, okay? When I get this a stray card, I feel like it's more of a sense of like, once you kind of, confirmation, pay attention to the signs, right? Figure out that this person doesn't really have the same morals or standards when it comes to taking care of their responsibilities. This is what you'll tend to start doing yourself, okay? And it might not even be something that you notice, right? Or maybe you have noticed this about yourself, but it's just more or less along the lines of like, you'll start to separate yourself from these people, maybe without even noticing. But this is what hurts the most, is when people want to, and it's a possibility, right, where people want to be your friend because they see what type of person you are. Maybe they want to be goal aligned with you, right? But maybe you start to separate yourself because you realize that they are not goal aligned with you, not headed in the same direction as you. So you start to separate yourself from them, possibly without even noticing, or maybe you just start to not invite them to every social event or whatever the case is. And I feel like this is what hurts the most to these people. So they avoid you because they don't want this to happen, right? They rather exclude themselves than be excluded by you, okay? And then we have the success card. So with the success card, I feel like, yes, you're a person that's after success. Either you're chasing success or you're just a successful person in your own right, in your own mind, right? Like you've achieved a lot currently where you stand, right? And if you are at the point where you don't have a lot, this is where you're headed, right? Your mind is geared towards success. It's geared towards what you want and maybe not necessarily where you currently are, right? And this is why people tend to avoid you, because they're not geared towards the same level of success, right? They might have they might be more into like the partying stage, or more into the just kicking it, hanging out with people, enjoying life, not really taking life too seriously kind of stage of life. And that's fine. Everyone can choose whichever lifestyle that they want. But I do feel like people tend to avoid you because they're just not so gear focused towards, achieving certain successes in their lives, okay? And then we have the bullshit card in the reverse, okay? So I do feel like people avoid you because look, if you flip it up right, he's smelling the bullshit, right? So I feel like people tend to avoid you because you can smell out bullshit. You can point out bullshit. And when I say bullshit, I don't necessarily mean like people pulling wools over your eyes as the full meaning. What I'm saying is more along the lines of like even people bullshitting themselves, right? In the sense of saying like, I'm sure at one point in time we've all had that one friend that's like, I'm gonna do this summer, or I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and then it's like 6 months later they're still saying they're going to do that one thing, but they've never even actually started, right? So so I feel like people tend to avoid you because you'll call them out on that bullshit. Like I had a best friend, okay, And he's moved. I mean, we're still cool. I don't have any love or hate towards him. But when we were in high school, right, he was my best friend all through high school. And every year for summer, he'd be like, I'm going to get ripped. I'm going to get shredded for summer. He was an overweight guy. But then, come new school year, he was the same old person, right? And then, it was all school year, he would just talk about how he's going to get ripped or how he's going to get shredded during summer. And then when summer finally came, we didn't really, we were younger. We didn't really have, communication or kept too much in touch during the summertime. But every time school rolled back around, he would be the same person. He never lost any weight. He usually gained more weight. So it was, I just feel like people tend to avoid you because, and me and him were great friends. Let me just start off by saying that, okay? We would throw racist slurs and everything at each other because that's just how we joked with each other. But I would always give him shit, because I would be like, he'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get ripped this summer. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like rip a 12 pack of just a BS. And I feel like this is why people tend to avoid you because you will call them out on that type of BS that they've been spewing for years, right? I love that guy, but miss him. Anyways, we have the iciness, okay? So with the iciness card in the upright, why people tend to avoid you, I feel like you do have this iciness. I feel like you definitely have your group of people that you mess with and the group of people that you don't, right? And this is where that iciness comes in, where it's like if you're compassionate and loving to the people that you truly do care about, right? The people that you've accepted. But the people that, who maybe don't accept you or don't really like you or XYZ, like you have this coldness that is in comparison to Antarctica or, it's a very cold shoulder that you tend to give people where there really is no, I'm feeling like there really is no, confusion on the matter of whether or not you mess with them or not, right? Or whether or not like you like them or not. It is very clear that they are not a part of your inner circle, okay? And then we have the scared card here in the reverse. So why people tend to avoid you is because I feel like you don't scare easily, right? Like I feel like you're a person where if there's a lot of gossip or smack, we'll say, and smack is just another term for people saying like talking about you behind your back, right? In a bad form. I feel like a lot of this is done not around you or with these people that you don't really mess with, right? Because people know that you aren't scared, and this is why people avoid you. They know that like you're about that business, right? You won't I feel like you're the person who won't hesitate to hit somebody in the mouth, right? For those people who've never been hit in the mouth before, you're not the person they want to talk to. So you're obviously the people that they avoid. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a very loving person, okay? But I did have this situation at work with a manager who he wasn't my manager, but he talked to everyone beneath him pretty much like trash, okay? And just a quick story to get you like an understanding that he talked to them in a very low form, okay? And one day me and him had to work on something like my job had to do partially with what he needed done, right? And I was telling this man, like, I've done my job. Anything outside of this realm is on you. And essentially it was. So I had to check these files or whatever for these certain papers, and I've checked them. I checked them 10 times over, right? I've checked the area in which these files were pertaining to, and there was nothing else to say that I needed it to do any work, right? So come to find out, the files were actually behind a locked door that only him and his employees had. And he was yelling at me, telling me, well, not essentially yelling at me, but telling me that I was in the wrong and that I'm not doing my job. So I had to have some few words with him, and in which case he said, okay, he said, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's restart. Yes, let's restart, because you're not about to sit up here, right, and tell me that I didn't do something that I know that I did, and even checked 3 or 4 times. So I feel like, yeah, all that to say, right? that for you, pile number pile number 3, people know that you won't hesitate to stand up for yourself, essentially. Not saying you won't hit him in the mouth. Maybe you will hit him in the mouth, but ever since that day, I'll tell you what, he has not talked to me like that since. So, all I'm saying is you, pile 3, are about that business, okay? You know what I mean? Don't, right? Don't cook with grease if you ain't trying to get popped. You feel what I'm saying? Anyways, we have the news card here in the upright. So, why people avoid you, I feel like, and that news card, right, is right next to the success card. And this news card did come out in pile number 2, if I remember correctly. Sorry, there was a break in between readings. I had to deal with some things. But regardless, yeah, I feel like there's always something new starting for you. There's something new starting for you. There's some new successes in your life. There's new things happening for you. And 9 times out of 10, they're in they're good things, right? They're good things happening for you. So a lot of people tend to avoid you because there's always positive things happening either for you, to you, with you, XYZ, right? And people get I feel like there's an envy or a jealousy. Like people get tired of hearing this. So they tend to avoid you because they're like, oh, life just kind of gives into pile number 3, right? Pile number 3 doesn't have to work hard or do anything. They don't know that for sure. All they're seeing, they don't see the nights you're staying up working hard for things or whatever the case is, right? All they see is like things keep happening for you. And this is why they tend to avoid you, because they're like, yeah, my life doesn't work like that. So me and pile number 3, again, can't compare where they don't compete, right? And then we have blessings here in the reverse. So I feel like why people tend to avoid you, again, yeah, it's going off these 2 we just spoke about. People don't have the same amount of blessings as you do. I'm not saying that your blessings were just given to you, pile number 3, but what I am getting is like a lot of the successes you have, a lot of people, again, can't compare because they don't have those same type of successes. They don't have those same type of items or things or whatever the case is, right? Like they're not living as lavish or whatever it is. And that's why they tend to avoid you because, again, it's like, well, what can I really discuss with pile number 3 when I have none of the things that pile number 3 has, right? Like what conversation could me and pile number 3 really have, you know? It's almost like, in a sense too, like if they were to come over, like if they don't have a house, right? Maybe they have an apartment or whatever the case is, and they come over to your house and you got into an argument about your house, you know, you'd be like, what house you got, Mo? You know, it's like they're avoiding these type of situations. They're like, you know, and then we have the reflection card in the reverse. Okay, so Spirit Guide Universe. Okay, so maybe it's Spirit Guide Universe telling me this here, really emphasizing on this, that the reason why people tend to avoid you is because they can't do the same reflection on themselves that you do on yourself. And when I say reflection, I mean like shadow work, right? Looking at the things that, you know, we have. Looking at the things that we aren't necessarily proud of that we may have done, right? But also understanding why we did that and then putting effort towards changing ourselves, right? To make sure that that never happens again, or that we become somebody different who would never do such a thing again, or just, you know, changing our ways, right? Whatever the case is. And this is why people avoid you, is because some people just aren't ready to do that type of reflection work, or aren't ready to do that type of shadow work, aren't ready to really look at themselves in the mirror fully and accept that they were responsible, right, for certain things happening for them in their lives. They're responsible for not having as many blessings as you do where you currently are in life, or whatever the case is, right? Then we have the karma card. So why people tend to stay away from you, okay? Because karma is on your side, pile number 3. And I feel like it does not take a genius or even a spiritual person to understand that, especially looking at this spread that we have here. It is very clear that karma, our spirit guide universe, is definitely on your side, okay? They will make sure whoever wrongs you, it will come back around for them, because, I mean, you've already done the reflective work. This is why you have the blessings and the successes that you have currently, is because you've done this work, right? You've called out the bullshit not only on other people, but on yourself, okay? And you've iced out or even probably separated away from the people that would stop you from getting such blessings in your life, right? The distractions, okay? We have some messages, here from Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in. We have the okay to feel, okay? And with that being said, let's see, we have value, astray, and scared. Scared in the reverse. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, like, it's okay to. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, don't ever feel bad for the luxury or the things that you have, especially if you've worked very hard from it. And don't ever feel bad for the people that you've separated yourself from, okay? And don't ever feel bad for standing up for yourself against people, right? Like, it's okay to feel these type of ways. Like, if you do something, if you stand up for yourself, right? Or maybe just explain why you have something and somebody doesn't, but then you feel kind of bad after it. Spirit Guide Universe is saying that's okay. You know, it's okay that you stood up for yourself, you corrected this person, whatever. Don't feel bad about it, because you know what? You are correct in that manner. You know, a lot of people like to talk about things that they don't even know about, you know, or have no knowledge of how you've come into such valuable things or whatever the case is, right? Which I did, for those of you who don't know, I do marketing for a nonprofit, but we had a guest speaker talking about how they go into people's houses, usually low income houses, or people who are just hurting and can't really, you know, pay certain bills or whatever, and they'll see like the newest, you know, iPhone, or they have the bigger screen TV than they do at home. And what he was saying is, like, it's not his place to judge, because you don't know where that came from, right? So it's like, why do you need our help if you have an 85-inch flat screen TV on the wall? You know, that could have been donated to them. That could have been a cousin, relative, mother, whatever, who bought it for them, or maybe bought a new one and gave it to them. So they're just saying, like, they don't turn people away who still need that help, you know? Anyways, then we have the card here with the 3 dots, and he's just kind of looking very blank stare right into the face. I feel like this is just saying, look, we have the compassionate card, the success card, and the news card here. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying everything you're doing is correct, right? Don't stop doing what you're doing, because I feel like we are meant to be here and be compassionate to one another. I feel like if we were as compassionate to each other as we were to, like, dogs and cats, the world would definitely be, you know, a better place. But I don't feel like Spirit Guide Universe has anything to say about this row here. Like, if you're a compassionate person, keep being a compassionate person. That's what makes you you. That's what separates you from the other people, right? Then we have the success card and the news card here. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, keep talking about your success, right? Keep celebrating even your small wins, right? And then the news here is like, yeah, tell people about it. If it's new to you, it's news to you, you're happy about it, go ahead, tell people about it. Who cares? It's their problem to deal with, you know, if they don't have anything new in their life, right? Because you've worked for it. So don't feel bad about the things that you've worked for, essentially, is kind of what I'm getting here. And then we have there will be hell to pay, and that's in the reverse. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, if you saw the signs, you sniffed out the bullshit, right? And you see other people, and you call out other people, not having the things that they want because of their actions, Spirit Guide Universe saying you won't receive anything bad for that, right? If you see the signs, you call people's BS out, Spirit Guide Universe is like, cool, keep it pushing. Because you know what? Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in, is probably giving them signs as well and calling out their bullshit just as much, right? Like, we go through cycles and lessons in life to teach us things, right? So if it's possible that, you know, Spirit Guide Universe sent this person your way because they've tried to show this person the signs, right? And this person won't look at the BS, right, that's going on in their life, or how they're causing the BS in their life, and why they don't have these blessings, like making excuses. So it's possible that Spirit Guide Universe sent this person towards you because they knew you were this type of person, right? That would call them out on it, because Spirit Guide Universe talks to us in more of like a spiritual realm through birds, numbers, songs, whatever it is. But sometimes you need somebody to just tell you straight to your face, like, yo, get your shit together, right? You know what I mean? Get all your shits together. Right. Anyway, effing relax, right? And that's in the reverse. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, like, yeah, I mean, look at what I just said, right? Like, get your shit together, right? And then we have the effing relax here in the same row. We have responsibility in the reverse, iciness in the upright, and reflection in the reverse. So again, I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is in support of what you're doing with the people around you, or the people who come for you, right? Call them out on the responsibilities that they're not taking care of, right? Let them know that, like, yo, we ain't cool, we beefing, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't chicken and drumsticks over here, my guy. Sear steaks, okay? We got that straight Wagyu. And then we then we got that reflection in the reverse as well. Just saying, like, you know, I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, don't let up on people, right? Don't let people come around you and get comfortable and not taking responsibility for what they should be taking responsibility of. Don't take on other people's responsibilities either, right? Show them that they have shadow work to do, or that they need to be reflecting on things. And again, I do feel like there are some messages for you in POW number 2 as well. So if you felt called, please go back and watch that one. And then we have get a effing hobby, and that's in the reverse. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, keep pushing, keep it pushing. Whatever you're doing, whatever's bringing you this success, whatever's bringing you this good news and these blessings in your life, just keep going. Keep going with what you're doing. I feel like you're going to be fulfilled at the final destination, or wherever you're headed, right? This has been your reading, POW number 3. Thanks for tuning in to Hollywood Oracle, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.